Your Honor, if I could, I'm here on behalf of my client, Mr. Joseph Tootle. We filed a complaint for absolute divorce in this matter. It's a very, very short-term marriage. The parties were just married in September of 2023. And what we have, Your Honor, is that the crux of this case, and really the only asset of this marriage, comes down to the parties prior to their marriage purchased a home at 1047 Yellow Creek Highway. My client put down a significant down payment on the home. Well, the down payment was put prior to the marriage, and the purchase was right after the parties married. The property is approximately between $700,000 and $800,000 home, has a significant mortgage on it. What we're asking, Your Honor, is for exclusive possession of the home. Mrs. Botnick, again, this is a short-term marriage. Mrs. Botnick has 3 children from prior relationships. In fact, she was with child at the time of the parties' marriage that is not my client's child. And she has just finished another custody matter with that child's father. And again, she's not contributing financially. They purchased a vehicle that she is driving, and we are asking that she and the children, and she's allowed her mother, Miss Carol Ledford, to move into the home also. So there's 6 people cohabitating in this home, and my client is having to pay all of meet the financial responsibility of the home. So it's our request that she be ordered to vacate the premises, or in the alternative, given the fact that herself, her 3 children, and her mother are living there, that my client pays 1/6 and she pays 5/6 of all the expenses associated with the home. The home, again, we're going to have an issue. The home has just been purchased. It's very unlikely that there's significant equity. She is not in a position, it's our claim that she's not in a position to buy my client out of the home or get the home refinanced into her own name. But she is not contributing, and she has now begun having extramarital relations, and as a result of that, we want her out of the house.
Your Honor, just briefly, parties were married September 4th, 2023. The home that they currently reside in was purchased, conveyed to both of them as husband and wife, Joseph Tootle and Jordan Botnick, by warranty deed executed September 26, 2023, recorded with the Register of Deeds September 29th, 2023. The approximate purchase price was $800,000. 20% was paid down, which is approximately $160,000. Mr. Tootle makes a significantly higher income than Ms. Botnick. With respect to her children who live there, Mr. Tootle was fully aware that Ms. Botnick had children when they married, fully aware that they would be moving into the residence, and with respect to Ms. Botnick's mother, he agreed that she could move into the residence. Our position, Your Honor, is that the house is a marital residence. Mr. Tootle has significantly more income than Ms. Botnick, and we have filed before the court today is a motion to sell the marital residence, and we would propose that upon its sale, the net proceeds be paid into court, and then we can proceed with the divorce in that regard. But I would submit to the court there's no basis to grant Mr. Tootle exclusive possession of the marital home. Ms. Botnick's name is on the deed. It's a marital asset, and submit that she's entitled to reside there just as much.
Imagine getting married to a single mother who has 3 children from 3 different men. Then she divorces you and tries to sell your new home. She hasn't given our guy a dime, and it seems like he didn't realize how foolish it was to marry her. The ex-wife then takes the stand and demands that her name be placed on his property, which allows situations like this to occur.
State your name, please, ma'am.
Jordan Lindsay Bachnick,
And Ms. Botnick, where do you work?
Envision Healthcare.
And I would call Ms. Botnick.
Come in, please. Raise your right hand, be placed under oath.
Work 40 hours a week,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have 3 children by how many different men?
3.
And how much child support do you get?
I get for child support 1 kid and $697.
$697 for what child?
1 child, and I don't get child support from the other 2.
What child do you get the 190?
Sailor, the
And how-
baby.
And who is Sailor's father?
Nick Ellis.
And that's your youngest child?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were in fact pregnant with Sailor at the time that you married?
No,
Or right after you had just had the child?
I just had him. He was born in June, and I got married in September.
Okay. And what sort, you have just settled a lawsuit on paternity with Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
And when was that done?
I promise he won't do that again. He chose to marry her, even though you wouldn't want to touch him with a 10-foot rod.
You admit to your husband that you only married him for financial security?
No.
You sure about that?
Yes.
That's your statement under oath?
Yes.
Did you threaten, at the point in time when he told you he wanted a divorce, did you threaten to throw yourself against the wall so that you could get an order of protection and kick him out of the house?
No.
You allowing your children to, have you allowed any of your minor children to operate any motor vehicle in and around the property?
I let my son drive down the driveway.
And he ran over shrubs and things, is that correct?
1 shrub.
And that's your 12-year-old or your 10-year-old?
I let my 10-year-old.
Your 10-year-old's driving a vehicle that caused some slight damage to the property, is that correct?
He drove down the driveway and ran over a shrub.
It's into the drywall of the
No.
home? You didn't sit there and videotape it and laugh
I
at it?
videotaped my son shooting an arrow into a cardboard box.
Not into the garage and damaging the property?
No.
Have you contributed to the house payment?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm paying for everything else.
What is everything else that you're paying for?
Groceries to stay in the house, and I pay for all my kids, groceries, clothes, and I filled out a form, basically showing what I do pay for.
Pay any of the utilities?
No.
Pay any insurance on the vehicle you're driving?
Yes.
You pay for your insurance
I pay for my insurance
and your vehicle?
on
What
my
kind-
vehicle.
What kind of vehicle are you driving?
A Tahoe.
2021 Chevy Tahoe?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much are the payments on that?
A little over 1,000.
Who's making those payments?
I am.
When did you start making those payments?
2 months ago. I've made 3 payments so far. So 3 months now.
When did you purchase that vehicle?
August 22nd of 23.
You acknowledge that the down payment on the home came from his separate funds, do you not?
Donna, I'm going to object. That calls for a legal conclusion.
I'm sorry?
I object. That calls for a legal conclusion as to what separate funds are.
I'll rephrase the question. Did you have any money when the contract was made on this house?
I had my own money.
How much did you have?
At the time, I don't recall how much I had.
Did you pay $160,000 down on this house?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
No, I didn't put money down on the
Okay,
house.
why did you say you don't recall?
Well, to your question before that,
Objection asked and answered.
no, I did not pay money on the house.
You know that your husband had money that he put down on this house that was not your money.
Right. After we were married, though, he paid money on the house.
And he paid for your attorney for your paternity actions too, didn't he?
He helped pay for my attorney with Nick.
And how much was that?
Object. I think that's privileged.
Object on what basis?
privilege. I mean, the third party may have paid it, they're married.
And you're talking about the attorney-client privilege?
Yeah, number one, I don't think it's relevant.
Now we're talking relevance instead of privilege.
Well, Judge, I think what a client pays an attorney, and the third party pays it,
I understand your point, Mr. Odle. And again, we're talking economics of two people who have been married for a short period of time. You will be able to ask questions of him regarding any expenditures he's made. And my understanding is that these questions are being asked to demonstrate the financial contributions each of them have made to the household. Because one of the motions that we have before the court today is the motion for exclusive possession of the marital residence, and that entails who's going to pay the mortgage for that. There's also a motion for a temporary division of marital debt, which is on the docket. So all of these issues are relevant on the issues that are before the court. She's not required to testify about any direct conversations that she may have with her attorney, but the question of if there were marital funds or his separate funds that were used to pay for her attorney, then for whatever relevance, whatever weight that is, I think it is relevant on the issue before the court.
Please repeat the question.
Who paid for your attorney?
Joseph did.
Did you ask him to do that
He offered to help me out.
when you got sued?
I didn't get sued.
Did you file the paternity suit, or did Mr. Ellis sue you? Did you sue
We
him?
agreed upon it. I didn't get sued.
He didn't file a petition against you,
Yes.
so you got sued.
Okay, I didn't know I was being sued.
Yes, ma'am. He filed a petition to establish paternity. Mr. Ellis did,
Okay.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you asked your husband for help in securing counsel for that. Is that correct?
He offered.
Have you ever contributed anything to, other than paying for your children, food? Have you ever contributed anything to the mortgage, to the utilities, to the down payment on this house?
She made no contribution, yet she still believes she should have the house. It's obvious to me that she was only using him for financial gain, and the judge is undoubtedly aware of this as well. Husband takes stand too.
Roughly 7 years.
And do y'all work at the same
We do.
company?
We do.
And what is your role at the company, at Envision?
I'm VP of Accounting Information Systems.
Were you her direct supervisor?
No,
And y'all became acquainted through your employment, is that correct?
I knew her prior to employment. I helped her get the job.
Okay, how did you know her prior to the employment?
I met her at her work when she worked at Twin Peaks.
At where?
Twin Peaks
Twin Peaks is a bar
Bar and Restaurant.
and restaurant, and we'll just leave it, why the name of that, but at any rate, you met her there and got her a job. Did y'all start a romantic relationship at that point in time?
I helped her get a job probably about 2 years ago. We kind of hung out some in between there, from time of meeting till she got the job at our company.
And when did y'all become romantically involved?
Throughout the time I've known her, different instances.
And she was having relations with other people during that time too?
objection leading.
Correct.
And you,
Well, the question is, sustained, it was leading, restate your question.
are you aware of whether or not, did y'all have an exclusive relationship?
We did not.
At what point in time did marriage come into the picture?
Roughly somewhere in July, after she had her child.
Okay. Did you ask her to marry, or was it just a, hey, let's do this? I mean, what was the?
We decided to date, and then as we started dating, we decided that after knowing each other for a period of time, that was the right move to make at that time, because she stated she was in love and wanted to be with me.
Okay. And as a result of that, where were you living at the time?
In Franklin
And where was she living?
and Dixon.
And did she have a home?
She had an apartment.
And did you have a home?
I did.
One that you owned?
No, sorry, I was in an apartment as well.
Okay, you rented and she rented. is
She
that
rented and I
correct?
rented, correct.
Okay. And so y'all decided to get she professed her love and you hers, and y'all decided to get married, and did you start looking for a place to live?
Started looking for a place prior to that. Somewhere in July, we talked about looking for a place, so we were looking prior to being married.
Okay. And you found a home on Yellow Creek Highway?
Correct.
Okay. And it's a very nice home. When y'all purchased it, did you enter into a contract prior
And
to?
don't leave it with us.
When did you enter into a contract to purchase the property?
In August, and I put down earnest money in August.
How much did you put down?
It's $10,000 in earnest money.
And then when was the closing scheduled?
You can avoid a similar circumstance in the future by learning from this man's blunders. He chose to marry her and put her name on everything he purchased and paid for, despite the fact that she had 3 children by 3 different men, had been sued for paternity, and had several relationships at the same time. The husband's attorney destroys the ex-wife for
In savings, 40, I took a loan against my 401k.
Is there still a loan on the 401k?
Yes. Comes out of my paycheck month.
How much did y'all purchase the home for?
It was $760,
And what is the monthly payments?
$4,200. That doesn't include insurance and taxes.
And that's going to be my next. Was insurance and taxes escrowed in?
It was not escrowed in.
So other than when you purchased it in September, the down payment that you made, are you familiar with any other increases in value or any improvements to the property that's been made that would increase it significantly from what the purchase price was?
There's been no improvements to the property.
Did both of you sign the mortgage?
I'm the only one on the mortgage.
Do you know why?
It was better to qualify for interest rate under my income than using both.
So even though
That's
the
what-
house is in joint names, the mortgage is only in your name?
Correct.
Now, shortly did you know how much she makes?
Roughly,
What is that?
around 22. I think when she got the job it was around 21, and there's been raises since then.
And how much do you make, sir?
Around to 190,
You've assisted me,
and that's without bonus, but bonus isn't guaranteed, so
you have assisted me in filling out an income and expense statement, is that correct?
that's correct.
Could you pass this to him? The officer's going to pass you one, and Your Honor, we'll mark this for ID purposes at this point in time.
All right.
Could you review that? Does that adequately and reflect what what your income and your expenses are?
Yes,
So again, what you're looking at is you gross about $14,000 a month, is that right?
yes,
Okay. And then the expenses that are spelled out, the rent, the mortgage is $4,200, is that correct?
that's correct.
And how did you come up with the utilities? Are those just an average of what?
That was the average of what we'd had thus far, but again, this was in January, so there's only a couple of months to average it.
Right, so again, you've got the electricity and the gas, you have gas heat, correct?
We have gas, electric, water, yes.
Okay, and so again, with the summer and the air conditioning things, those are likely to go up, is that correct?
Injection leading.
Do you
So
know
you
what
don't
the,
leave the with
I'll
us.
rephrase it. Do you think that these will be consistent or will they fluctuate?
Gas will probably go down, electric will probably go up.
Why have you got wife's telephone? Is that just
At
her?
the time I filed, I was paying her phone bill. She used my credit card multiple times after I'd paid it once
Okay.
to pay it.
And then again, the rest of these are average expenses, is that right?
That's right. And the only thing on here I haven't been paying is the Tahoe. I stopped paying it in January.
And that's the 1,050, and that's the vehicle
correct.
she's driving. Had you previously paid it?
I'd been paying it since we bought it.
And when was it purchased?
We purchased it in August.
Right before the marriage?
Right before the marriage.
Whose name is it in?
It's in both of our names because she couldn't qualify on her own for it
Okay. And
with a good interest rate.
okay. And so again, looking at that, you're basically barely breaking even if you take away the $1,000.
I was until she started paying her bills.
Okay. Until she started paying her bills. Okay. Tell me what's led to you Your Honor, we'll move that in as the next exhibit.
Mark, this
What's
is
led
the
you-
first exhibit, is it not?
Yes, that first one. What's led to you filing this divorce, sir?
We started having issues in October, which was relatively shortly after being married. She even told me that her therapist and her had discovered that through their therapy that she wasn't really in love with me and that she wanted consistency and stability for her kids.
Since I'm the one hearing this matter, they will give me the opportunity to personally assess the right to apply to this court for an order protection. If I reject it, they will likely still need to set a hearing to determine whether or not an order protection is necessary. I'm sure you'll love this next video if you like this one. I'll see you there.